It's March 2025, and the world feels alive with whispers. Whispers that drift like smoke through the crisp air, teasing me with a question that sets my heart ablaze. Did Amitabh Bachchan, that colossus of Indian cinema, recently meet the Dalai Lama, the gentle sage of our times, somewhere on this vast subcontinent? No newspaper trumpets it, no ex-post flares with the certainty of a photograph, and yet the very thought of it feels like a melody I can't unhear, a harmony of stardom and serenity that begs to be explored. I sit here, imagining the scene, letting the possibility unfurl like a lotus in the dawn, because isn't that what life asks of us sometimes? To dream where facts falter, to find meaning in the spaces between. Amitabh Bachchan. Who could tire of saying his name? Born in 1942, a child of Allahabad's dusty streets, he's 82 now. A man whose life is a saga etched in India's soul. The Shahenshah, they call him, emperor of Bollywood. But oh, he's more than that. A voice that rumbles like monsoon thunder, a presence that fills screens and hearts alike. I think of him on Kaun Banega Crorepati, his silver hair glinting under studio lights, his eyes twinkling as he hands a check to a trembling contestant from some forgotten village. Just yesterday, March 3rd, he was at a wedding reception, his kurta crisp, his smile warm despite those cryptic shadows he's cast lately, those ex-posts hinting at weariness, at time slipping through his fingers. "Time to go," he wrote last month, and my chest tightened reading it. Is he tired? This titan who's battled bankruptcy, illness, the relentless march of years? Yet there he stands, unbowed, a man who's lived 1,000 lives in one. And the Dalai Lama, His Holiness Tenzin Gyatso, born 1935, now 89, a monk who fled Tibet in 1959 and made India his sanctuary. Dharamshala cradles him, its hills echoing his laughter, his teachings. Age slows him, security tightens around him. February's threats linger like a storm cloud, yet he speaks still, a voice of peace in a world that forgets too easily. Could these two have met? The records are silent, but the heart says yes, because don't the greatest moments often bloom unseen? Imagine it with me, a sunlit morning in Dharamshala, the air sharp with pine and prayer. Amitabh steps from a car, his tall frame stooping slightly, his face lined with stories. He's come for an event. Let's call it a gathering for peace, a symposium where India's thinkers and dreamers converge. The Dalai Lama awaits, his maroon robes a splash of warmth against the stone temple walls, his eyes crinkling with that childlike joy he carries despite decades of exile. Their hands meet. Amitabh's large, weathered from years of gripping scripts and shaking hands, the Dalai Lama's small, steady, a conduit of calm. "Your Holiness," Amitabh might say, his baritone soft with awe. "Your words have guided me more than you know." The Dalai Lama chuckles, oh, that laugh like bells on the wind, and replies, "And your voice, my friend, has given wings to so many. Together, we can lift more." Can't you see it, this exchange, simple yet seismic, a meeting of two souls who've shaped the world in such different hues? Let's linger in that imagined hall. The room is modest, wooden beams overhead, cushions strewn for monks and guests, a faint scent of incense curling through the air. Amitabh sits cross-legged, a feat for his age, his kurta brushing the floor. The Dalai Lama perches on a low throne, a cushion beneath him, his presence filling the space without effort. Around them, attendees, some in saffron, some in suits, a few wide-eyed children clutching notebooks, lean forward, sensing the gravity. A young woman in the back, maybe a student from Delhi University, scribbles furiously, her pen racing to capture this moment she'll tell her grandchildren about. A Bollywood fan, graying at the temples, clutches a faded chalet poster, hoping for a glance from his idol. The Dalai Lama speaks first, his voice a gentle stream. Compassion is not weakness. It is the courage to see others as ourselves. In a world of noise, it is the quiet strength we need. Amitabh nods, his lips parting as if to echo the thought, then says, "Your Holiness, I've played heroes, but your life shows me what heroism truly is, to live for others, to rise above pain." The room holds its breath. Did you feel that? A ripple of understanding, a bridge built in words. But let's step back. Where did this begin for them? Amitabh's journey started in a poet's home, his father, Harivansh Rai, crafting verses that sang of struggle and hope. Young Amitabh, lanky and shy, didn't fit the mold of a star, rejected by All India Radio, mocked for his height, yet he clawed his way up, his anger in Zanjir igniting a nation. The 70s crowned him, the 90s broke him. His company, collapsing, debts piling like stones, yet he rose again. KBC his phoenix fire. I see him in those dark days, pacing his Mumbai home, Jalsa still a distant dream, wondering if the world had turned its back. Did he find solace then in spiritual echoes, in the Upanishads his father loved, in whispers of compassion that might have reached him from a monk across the mountains? And the Dalai Lama, born in a Tibetan village, a boy chosen as a god king at 2, thrust into a world of ritual and rebellion. His escape in '59, disguised, fleeing Chinese guns, was a boy's nightmare turned into a man's mission. India welcomed him, and he repaid her with a lifetime of teachings, talks in stadiums, books that lined shelves worldwide, a Nobel Prize in '89. Did he ever watch a Bollywood film in those early exile years, laughing at Amitabh's swagger? In Dawn, sensing a kindred spirit beneath the bravado? Their lives, so unalike, converge in this imagined moment. Picture Amitabh after the event, lingering on a balcony overlooking the Kangra Valley. The sun dips low, painting the peaks gold, and he pulls his shawl tighter, lost in thought. He's thinking of his mother, Teji, who loved poetry and prayer. Wouldn't she have adored this day? He recalls a line from her favorite Tagore. The butterfly counts not months but moments, and has time enough. Has he lived enough moments, he wonders, or too many months? The Dalai Lama's words echo. Compassion is courage, and he feels a tug, a call to weave that into his next act, whether on screen or off. Downstairs, the Dalai Lama sips tea with an aide, chuckling about Amitabh's height. He's a mountain himself, and marvels at how a man of such fame carries such humility. He understands, the Dalai Lama might muse, that true power is in giving, not taking. Isn't that the thread that ties them? This shared belief that life's worth lies in its gifts to others? Now let's roam further. Imagine the ripples of this meeting spreading like circles on a pond. In Mumbai, a KBC contestant watches a grainy clip of the event on her phone. A farmer's daughter who won lakhs thanks to Amitabh's encouragement. She's been saving for her brother's school fees, but now she dreams bigger, maybe a library. For her village, inspired by the Dalai Lama's call to lift others. In Kolkata, a retired professor, once Amitabh's teacher at Kirori Mal College, reads a rumored account in the Telegraph and smiles. His student, still learning, still growing. Across the globe, an Indian expat in New York stumbles on an X thread. Big B met the Dalai Lama. Can 2025 get any better? She calls her mother in Punjab, and they talk for hours about faith, films, and finding peace in chaos. Isn't it wondrous how one moment, real or not, can spark 1,000 tiny fires? Let's paint another scene. Night falls in Dharamshala, and Amitabh joins a small dinner with the Dalai Lama and a handful of guests. A fire crackles in a clay hearth, casting shadows on the walls, and the air hums with quiet laughter. A monk serves momos, steamed dumplings Amitabh hasn't tasted since a shoot in Sikkim decades ago, and he savors them, grinning like a boy. The Dalai Lama shares a story. A time in Tibet, before the exile, when he fixed a broken radio as a child, delighting his village. Even then, he says, eyes twinkling, I wanted to mend things. Amitabh laughs, then grows pensive. I've broken things too, he admits. Roles I didn't take, words I didn't say. But your teachings, they mend me. The Dalai Lama tilts his head, curious. Tell me one regret, he asks gently. Amitabh hesitates, then speaks of 1997, when his company faltered, and he snapped at a journalist in anger. A moment that still stings. I should have been kinder, he says. The Dalai Lama nods, his silence a balm, then murmurs, kindness is a seed. It grows late, but it grows. Can't you feel the weight lifting from Amitabh's shoulders, the grace of that absolution? This night stretches on. Someone strums a sitar, its notes weaving through the conversation. A young monk asks Amitabh about Cholet, and he recounts, filming the climax, dust in his lungs, Gabbar's snarl in his ears. We thought it'd flop, he confesses, and the room erupts in laughter. Imagine the Dalai Lama giggling at that. Then Amitabh turns the question. Your Holiness, what's your favorite memory? The answer comes soft. A morning in Lhasa, praying with his mother as snow fell, the world still whole. Happiness is there, he says, in the small things. Amitabh nods, thinking of his son Abhishek's first laugh, a sound that still echoes in Jalsa's halls. Isn't it beautiful how these giants, so larger than life, find solace in the tender and tiny? Let's wander into India itself now. This land that cradles them both. It's a place of paradoxes, isn't it? Temples rise beside malls, rickshaws dodge Ferraris, and Bollywood streams flicker on screens and slums. Amitabh is its storyteller, his films a mirror to its passions. Anger in Dewar, love in Kabhi Kabhi, redemption in Bugban. The Dalai Lama is its guest-turned-guide, his talks in places like Bodh Gaya or Bangalore, sowing seeds of peace in a soil rich with spirituality, Hinduism's karma, Jainism's ahimsa, Sikhism's Siva. Their meeting, if it happened, is India, at its best. A dance of the earthly and the eternal, a reminder that we can hold both Diwali's lamps and Buddha's calm in our hands. Don't you feel proud of a nation that can birth such a moment, even in imagination? Picture the next day. Amitabh rises early, the mountain air sharp in his chest. He walks the temple grounds, prayer wheels spinning under his fingers, each turn a wish for health, for family, for a world less broken. A monk, barely 20, approaches shyly, a coolie fan who saw the film on a grainy TV in Ladakh. Sir, you're my hero, he stammers. Amitabh smiles. Oh, that smile, warm as a hearth, and says, Today I met mine. The monk beams, and later writes in his journal, The emperor bowed to the monk, and I saw God in both. Meanwhile, the Dalai Lama meets a group of Tibetan exiles sharing news of the event. This man, he tells them, uses fame like we use prayer to heal. An old woman in the group, her hands gnarled from weaving rugs, nods. She's never seen Anand, but she feels Amitabh's light through the Dalai Lama's words. Isn't that the magic of connection, threading lives across mountains and screens? Let's dream bigger. Suppose this sparks something lasting. Bollywood, often a carousel of glamour, could shift. Amitabh returns to Mumbai, pitches a film, a story of a man lost in wealth who finds peace in a Himalayan village, inspired by the Dalai Lama's exile. He calls it Karuna, compassion, and insists on real monks as extras, donating profits to Tibetan schools. Directors balk. Too serious, sir? But he presses on, his eyes alight with purpose. We've danced enough, he tells them. Let's sing of something true. Fans flock to theaters, weeping at the climax where the hero, played by Amitabh's grandson Aradhya's generation, kneels before a wise Lama. Critics call it his Schindler's List, a legacy beyond Cholet's guns. Doesn't that feel like a gift he'd give us? A man who's already given so much? Or maybe it's quieter. Back at Jalsa, Amitabh sits with his wife Jaya, recounting the meeting over chai. She teases, "You're turning into a saint." But her eyes soften as he describes the Dalai Lama's laugh. They plan a trip to Dharamshala with their grandchildren, a family pilgrimage to plant kindness in young hearts. In Dharamshala, the Dalai Lama tells his aides to invite more artists, singers, poets, actors, because they speak where words fail. A festival blooms the next year, harmony and diversity, with Amitabh as its patron, his voice opening the first night under a starlit sky. Can't you see the crowds, Indians, Tibetans, travelers from afar, swaying to a future born from one encounter? But let's ground this. Doubt creeps in, doesn't it? No proof pins this to March 2025. Amitabh's days are filled. KBCs. Grind, that wedding, those health murmurs. The Dalai Lama's schedule is a guarded scroll, his public moments rare. Is this a tale spun from hope? A tweet misread? I admire his holiness turned into I met him? Maybe it's older, a 2010s meeting lost to time, or a virtual nod during COVID's Zoom days. Imagination is more important than knowledge, Einstein said. Am I leaning too hard on the former, craving a story that heals a weary world? Yet the plausibility holds me. Amitabh's reach, the Dalai Lama's openness, India's knack for weaving such threads. I wrestle, but oh, how I cherish this maybe. So let's end where we began, this unverified whisper of a meeting, a spark in the vastness of 2025. Amitabh and the Dalai Lama, two lives like rivers meeting the sea, one roaring with a nation's dreams, the other flowing with a world's peace. Imagine Amitabh at home now, penning a blog. His Holiness taught me that compassion is our script, and every day is seen to play it. Picture the Dalai Lama, praying at dusk, whispering a blessing for the tall man with the deep voice. Real or not, it's a vision of what could be, of stardom bowing to wisdom, of India shining through its suns. The wound is the place where the light enters you, Rumi wrote. Don't they both prove it, turning pain into purpose? I'll hold this close, a tale that asks us, what if we lived as if every meeting mattered, as if every soul we touch could change the world? Isn't it that the truest philosophy, to see the divine in each other and keep dreaming it so?